morning, ladies and gentlemen. Probably I would do this presentation in Hungarian, but my vocabulary is based on centuries of the friendship between our nations, Hungary and Poland. So I think this is not the right audience to make this experience, make this presentation in your local language. But one day, probably I'll try. So before I start asking the Shakespeare's question, to cloud or not to cloud, I would like to ask my own question, which is, who of you is not using cloud processing, who is not using cloud currently? Be brave to raise your hands. Is there anybody like this? Who has the policy, no cloud policy in your company, in your employer? No cloud policy. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 people. Okay. One more tricky question. Who is not raising hands when people are asking such questions? Now I got you. Good. I knew that there must be a trick like that. So yeah, it's interesting, talking about cloud in Eastern Europe, it's the same story. You talk to the customers and they tell you, well, we have no cloud policy. So I'll get back to this later on. But hey, this is how the analysts are looking at this. So you remember times when there was no internet policy. When you're talking to SCADA people, IoT, that was a different story. So Gartner says that in 1.5 years from now, no cloud policy will be as rare as no internet policy is right now. Quite a bold statement, I would say. So let's see, 1.5 years from now. So let's see how it goes. I think everybody knows about the cloud, so it doesn't make sense for me to tell you what is cloud, what is public cloud, what is private cloud, what is the hybrid cloud, which is the mixture of these two. But let's take a look at the definition of the cloud. So there is a Wikipedia definition. You can read through that. My own definition is that cloud is a perfect way to cost-effectively, very quickly deploy services with unlimited scalability. So if you are a startup, or if you are a very mature enterprise company, and you want to do some test project, or you want to test if there is a market for a specific need, you deploy it in the cloud. Because if in 6 months from now you have 100 times as many customers as you have right now, cloud gives you the scalability guarantee, and also cloud gives you the agility, the speed to deliver these services really fast. But I really like the definition of Mirzuk, the founder and CTO of Palo Alto Networks. And he says that cloud is someone else's computer. As simple as that. But if this is someone else's computer, then who takes care about the security? It's not me anymore, right? It's the cloud provider. Let's see how it goes. It's also important to remember that cloud is defined by 3 different layers. There are 3 categories of the cloud. The lowest one is IaaS, infrastructure as a service. IaaS is basically storage, network, and computing. So it's the hardware. It's all the infrastructure that cloud provider uses to deliver their cloud services. Then there is PaaS, platform as a service. This is this middle layer which gives you the ability to build and create your own services using PaaS tools. And then there is a top layer, which is called the software as a service, SaaS. And this is the marketplace of the applications which are ready so that you can buy them in the cloud model, so with the monthly fees, for example. And these are the applications like Dropbox, Box, Office 365. You are using these applications. So this is the SaaS model. It's very important to remember about this because it's quite critical to understand that if we are talking about the security in the cloud, we are talking about shared responsibility model. So in the shared responsibility model, there is some responsibility of the security that the cloud provider takes on, but there is also a responsibility of the cloud security that the customer needs to take care about. So the cloud benefits are obvious. Agility, speed of delivering services. Scalability, unlimited scalability. You can go from 0 to the biggest enterprise in the world, and if you are using cloud, you have this. There is no maintenance costs. The cloud provider takes care of this. You can use OpEx versus CapEx if you have budget in OpEx. This is fine. So there is no patching needed. The systems are always up. I can go like this for ages. Cloud has a lot of benefits, but security is a different thing. Regarding security, it's very important that you remember one important aspect: shared responsibility. Cloud security equals shared responsibility. So there is security of the cloud. This is taken care of by the cloud provider. And there is security in the cloud. This is something that you have to take care about. So security in the cloud is your responsibility, because cloud provider, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, you name it, cloud provider will make sure that their core infrastructure, the cloud infrastructure, so compute, storage, database, networking, that these things are secure when they provide you the hardware. But cloud provider will not protect your data. Cloud provider will not make sure that your data is not getting to the wrong hands, that the data is not stolen, that somebody is not breaking into your servers. This cloud provider will not do. So security in the cloud, cloud provider. Security of the cloud, cloud provider. Security in the cloud has to be taken care by you, your partner, or MSSP, Managed Security Service Provider. It's very important. This shared responsibility. So this is the slide which shows in details what is the shared responsibility. So in the on-premise model, when we are talking about your data center or your on-premise servers, everything is on you. You have a full control. You have firewalls, you have perimeters. If something goes wrong, you have the full control and you are the one to blame. In the IaaS model, infrastructure as a service, the cloud provider takes care about networking, storage, services, and virtualization. You as a customer or your partner have to take care about operating system, middleware, runtime data, and applications. If you move further to the platform as a service, your responsibility is only data and applications. It's about management and security. In a SaaS model, in software as a service, theoretically, cloud provider takes care about everything. So SaaS provider in this case. But still, you have to make sure that the files you are sending or your employees are sending to Dropbox or Box or Google Drive are not classified. They are not secret files. You have to make sure that no one has the access to your Office 365 or Dropbox, Box account. This is your responsibility still. So shared responsibility. So now, going back to the question that I asked in the very beginning, if you think that you have no cloud policy in your company, just check if you are using any of these SaaS applications. Are you using Office 365? Are you using Dropbox? Are you using private Dropbox on the computer that you are using also for the company reasons to do your work? Just think about it. Is the no cloud policy that strict? You know, it's something worth considering, really. So cloud brings risks. If somebody hacks to your network, your own data center, if something happens, then, okay, your customers' data, your employees' data is stolen. It's a big tragedy for you, but it's not a big tragedy for the world. Unless you are a really important player worldwide. But just imagine what happens if the hacker breaks into the storage of the cloud provider. We have examples here, the real examples. Almost 200 million citizen data stolen just because of breaking to the cloud, to the data instance of the cloud, public cloud. This is a different scale. It is a different scale. If the cloud data center, public data center goes down, the whole world is affected. Airlines that have their applications there. It's a different scale. Really, it's unbelievable how it works. If you look at this survey, CIOs were surveyed what are their top cloud challenges, top 5 challenges. A year ago, security was everywhere. If you were talking to cloud beginners, well, cloud explorers or cloud-focused people, CIOs, already security was one of the top 5 challenges. But look, it was like 27, 21, 32%. If we look now, this year, 2018, security becomes either #1 or #2 out of these top 5 cloud challenges. What a progress. It is really important. Security of the cloud is the key challenge that you and your counterparts worldwide are facing. So we have to make sure that when you migrate to the cloud, and believe me, this is just a matter of time, you will migrate to the cloud. You have to make sure that you do it in a safe and a secure way. So we want to avoid these kind of risks, these kind of things that happened in the cloud. So if you look at the cloud issues that are happening, you can take a look at these, but you can ask yourself a question. So, okay, I'm moving to the cloud. I'm paying my monthly fees for moving my workloads to the cloud. Why cloud provider doesn't do it for me? Why the cloud provider doesn't take care about the whole security that I don't have to worry about? Why it cannot be done? What's wrong with this? So this is the natural question you would be asking. And basically, I'll explain it using 2 examples. The most popular public cloud providers, Amazon and Microsoft, so AWS and Azure. So with Amazon, with AWS as a typical public cloud provider, their focus and their money generation focus is their core services, storage, network, and compute, right? The servers. This is where they get the money from. Okay, there are another services available. Some of them are also security. So there is some security available that AWS is offering. The same goes with Microsoft, with Azure. Core services, infrastructure, this is the focus. This is where the money is generated. And again, compute, storage, and networking. This is the core responsibility of the public cloud provider. There are additional services, of course, PaaS services, SaaS applications. And there is security, again, security and management in this. So there is, again, there are security services provided by Microsoft. So AWS, Amazon, and Azure, Microsoft are providing these. This is good. But then think about, what happens if you are using your on-premise servers, so your own data center or your private data center? You are using, of course, your endpoints, your laptops, your people are traveling. You are using your mobile devices. Then you are using public cloud providers. But you can use 2 of them or 3 of them. You can be using some functionalities from AWS, some from Azure, some from Google. And what then happens to the security? You have to manage all these different security solutions. So you need to have one consistent security platform that is going through all these areas, regardless where the data is, because the data is everywhere. So if the data is everywhere, then security has to be consistent, has to be the platform that covers all these areas, on-premise, data center, private cloud, public cloud, regardless if this is Amazon, Google, or Microsoft. It has to be one consistent security solution, because then you can have a full control. If something wrong happens on your computer, then the cloud systems will know about it. The mobile systems, the endpoints will know about it, and the other way. And only if you are covering all these areas of your business with one consistent security, integrated and exchanging information between each other, then you can build these 4 pillars of security, which is the complete visibility, reducing the service attack surface, and also preventing known and unknown attacks. Then only this can happen. So at Palo Alto Networks, we are obviously covering all these areas with our platform. So public cloud, private cloud, on-premise with next-generation firewalls, which I'm sure you know about, and also SaaS applications. But because of the sake of time, I still have 5 minutes, I'll just focus on the public cloud. So with the public cloud, we have VM series, Traps, and Evident solutions. So there are 3 areas of the public cloud which we have to cover. There is the inline security, which is provided by VM series. VM Series is basically the virtual version of our next generation appliances, next generation firewalls. So VM Series do exactly the same application layer firewall functionality as our regular next generation firewall does, but it does the segmentation and protection of the cloud workloads. Because on one server in the cloud, it's your applications, your data, but also the other customers. It can be tens of hundreds of customers. So you are sharing one server. It's a cloud model. So segmentation of the virtual workloads is the key. Then there is a host security, which is protected, and this is covered by traps, the agent that we are using. By the way, at 2:45 in the room DPD3, we have the live demo, technical deep dive session of the traps that will be delivered in Hungarian. So I'm really inviting you to join it. 2:45, DPD3 room. Traps deep dive. And Traps is covering not only endpoints, not only computers, clients, but also servers. So in cloud, you know that we have virtual servers. The instances are appearing very dynamically. So with every instance, Traps is protecting the server on a server level. And then there is Evident. Evident is making sure that we have a continuous compliance and continuous security of the infrastructure as a service and platform as a service. So what Evident does, by the way, if you go to YouTube and you type evident.io demo, you will have a nice 5 minutes demo, 5 minutes hands-on demo of how Evident works. It's amazing. You know, it works immediately. So if you have your IaaS PaaS applications in the cloud, just try YouTube, Evident.io demo. But what Evident does, Evident makes sure that regardless if you are using Amazon, Azure, or any other public cloud provider vendor, Evident makes sure that the discovery of the resources and monitoring of the resources is under control. It is securing the storages. And it's also making sure that there is a compliance. So within Evident, there is GDPR template. If you activate this template, then Evident reports on a regular basis if your cloud deployment is compliant with GDPR. That's a nice thing. Since May, we have a little bit problem with that, but here's automatic tool that shows you if you are GDPR compliant in your cloud deployment, in IaaS and PaaS. I would say it's worth trying. At least check the demo, evident.io demo on YouTube. I think it's quite interesting. So Evident does the things like checking if the multi-factor authentication is enabled, if there are any sensitive data exposed to the cloud, what services are running, and who is using these services. And all these three solutions for the public cloud protection, they are spanning across all the public cloud providers. So it doesn't matter if you are using Microsoft, Amazon, Google, or other public cloud solutions. This is the same platform, the same mechanism, the same interfaces. It exchanges the data and incidents, information about incidents between these cloud providers. So, yeah, the last thing before I finish, why we cannot rely only on cloud providers with security. So this is how it works with Amazon and with Microsoft. What the cloud provider does, they protect their infrastructure using typical layer 3 networking firewall. This is the firewall, which is, as you know, different than application layer firewall. So ports 80 and 443 are open. With port 80, you have about 350 applications that go through this port without any control. With port 443, you have about 120 applications that will go through this without any protections. Again, DevOps are using tools like Chef, like Puppet, that are using random ports. I mean, there is no control at all. So just to give you one thing to remember, shared responsibility. Cloud security equals shared responsibility. You need to have one effective and consistent prevention mechanism spanning across endpoints, data centers, on-premise, private cloud, and public cloud, regardless what public cloud provider it is. I encourage you to visit our booth. I encourage you to visit our technical demo, 245, deep dive session on traps. And I have 10 more seconds, so thank you very much. Thank you.